What is going on with all of my people of social media? I am Silence, and welcome to Recovery with the Invisible, or Raising Vibrations Through Recovery. That's my podcasting platform. But anyway, I am the host of those particular platforms, and I go by Silence. And shout out to all of my addicts in the world, and or the non that are still suffering in silence due to whatever you're suffering from. The point is, you're in silence and you're still suffering. Hopefully things will get better for you guys. Anyway, I just want to jump right into this recording and just thank a lot of individuals on the team of Invisible, including Regina Wells. Regina Wells' spirit and voice came through at a time when I needed it the most, and I'm sorry to get emotional, but I almost relapsed today. And it all started yesterday, and I told you guys that I went to a 12-step meeting, and I went for fellowship, and I went to hear the speaker of the evening. I picked up a fellow brother/sister that also attends these particular meetings as well. Anyway, after the meeting was over and done with, I'm taking this person home, and they receive a phone call. It was the voice of a man, and this person is a gay man themselves. Anyway, I heard the voice of the individual, and the person that I took home tried their best to conceal the conversation by over talking and things like that, so that I really couldn't hear what was going on. The energies that came over me during their conversation, it wasn't good energies and it wasn't bad energies, but it was the energies of, this person is probably going to relapse, which I hope they didn't. They're about to get digged down. I mean, there was just so many things that was going through my head, because they planned on meeting each other at this individual's home, upon me dropping them off. And I became jealous, I became upset. Not at the fact that, how can I explain it? I'm 91 days clean as of today, and I haven't been with a scallywag, watched porn, or done any of that since my sobriety date. And since the beginning of my sobriety date. And to have some scallywag call me and be like, hey, I got some G, you want to hook up and have fun? I'm not gonna lie, I missed that. And not saying that the person that I dropped off at home, that's what their conversation was about, but it was mighty interesting how they slowly turned the volume down to the phone conversation, and just how the wording was in regard to them, not the individual on the opposite end, but their wording, like they were trying to conceal something, which I didn't care, but I did feel a particular way, because I wished that it was me getting that phone call from some scallywag, so that I could have fun and relapse and whatever else. And I knew that it was Satan playing games with me, but he could have at least waited until I dropped that person off for them to receive that phone call. But he did that. Look, another scallywag that, hold on. Anyway, they just went around the corner. It was a scallywag looking to use the bathroom, but these bathrooms are locked and sealed off. So, yeah, anyway, but Satan knew exactly what he was doing. Satan pretty much planted that at the right moment, and he allowed me to hear the conversation and piece together what could or could not happen. But either way it goes, I just felt this energy come over me, because I wanted that to be me receiving a phone call from someone in hopes of hooking up and smoking meth and doing whatever else. Anyway, I passed that test. I didn't let it get to me, even though I nearly cried about it and some of everything else, because y'all don't realize I'm 91 days in regard to being clean from meth, 41 days clean from being away from marijuana. And my mind, body, and spirit still needs a lot of valuable time in order for me to recover. And it's killing me that I can't get high. I can, because God gives us all free will, and I can get high at any point in time, like I almost did today. But Regina's voice came through. And the voice of God came through. My grandmother came through, and all of those invisible forces that have my back and don't want me to fail came through. And I went to a Goodwill after getting my oil changed, and I went for a couple of items, and there was a scallywag in there, the perfect scallywag, tattoos, slightly dirty. Just the type of scallywag that I would pick up under normal circumstances of wanting to get high, or if I'm already high, those are the individuals that I would target. Anyway, myself and this scallywag sparked up a conversation in Goodwill, and it was an intermittent conversation here and there. You know, they're asking me what's the color of the day and blah, 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 blah. I did not realize that there was another scallywag in there that they obviously knew. And Satan could have picked anywhere in Goodwill for them to have this conversation with each other. And I wrote it down in regard to what this scallywag said. Anyway, I knew that they were high based upon their, not necessarily appearance, because there's a lot of individuals that are disheveled, but they don't live a life of addiction. They're just disheveled and probably can't afford clothing, good clothing, so to speak. And some individuals have money, but they just choose to look disheveled to fool other people. Anyway, I'm hearing the scallywag talk to the other scallywag on the opposite side of Goodwill, and then all of a sudden they're close to the aisle that I'm in looking for clothing and stuff like that. And the scallywag said when he woke up next to me and smelled me, he was all about it. And I was already keeping my eye on the scallywag, because I already knew that if they don't have methamphetamine on them, they know exactly where to get it. And this is a good way for me to get some dick. This is a good way for me to watch porn. This is a good way for me to do a whole bunch of stuff that I want to do. I'm not going to lie to you guys and say that I want to relapse bad, and I want to have what Satan is planting in my head as fun. I want to do all of that stuff. And Satan, through this individual, came right over to where I was in order to allow me to hear this. And these words could mean anything. And I promise you, I didn't hear she, he said he. Now, like I said, his words could have meant anything, but the way Satan was planting all of this in my head, it was all perversion. He woke up next to me and smelled me, and he was all about it. What do y'all think that means? Especially my people of addiction, in the gay community. He woke up next to me and smelled me, and he was all about it. What was he all about? And that's all that I could think of, is something ratchet in my head. And that's all Satan wanted me to think of, because that's the lure, that's the bait, in order for me to ask this person, hey, well, where the meth at, blah, 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 I can give you some head, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, I quickly continue shopping and at the same time keeping my eye on the scallywag and debating on if I wanted to challenge the situation. And eventually I got the hell up out of that Goodwill. I ended up leaving, and I went home because I had to, do the number 2. Not to tell too much business, but I went home to do the number 2 and also to try the clothing that I bought from that particular Goodwill. Anyway, one of the items didn't fit. So before going back to that Goodwill, there is a Goodwill not too far from my apartment. So I ended up stopping at that Goodwill and did a little bit more shopping. And mind you, there was a huge window in between the time that I left my apartment to return back to that Goodwill where Satan was working through the scallywag. And they could have been gone. I get back to that Goodwill, the first Goodwill where the scallywag was at. I get back to that Goodwill and I'm, at the cash register, returning the items, and I get the little Goodwill card in order to continue shopping, the reimbursement, whatever you guys want to call it. I'm walking through Goodwill to see what I can score, with the $6 something that was, added to the card. As I am looking around, Satan, in the form of that scallywag, was still in the fucking store. Are you kidding me? I had time to shit, excuse my French. I had time to try on these clothing. I had time to do a lot of different things, even shop at another Goodwill, and you're still here. I promise you, Satan is trying me so hard, and I nearly failed the test. Anyway, I agilized with the scallywag, and I'm just watching them, and I'm like, this is the opportunity for me to ask them if they have some G and go from there. Mind you, I have to be at work tomorrow and for the rest of the damn week, and me relapsing only would just cause a lot of devastation, downfall, and whatever else. Anyway, the scallywag, after I chose some items to buy with the remaining little $6 on the card, stood behind me in line, and I pay for my items and I walk out, and the scallywag was being served by the cashier. I get to my car, place my things in the car, and mind you, I'm just keeping my eyes on the door of that Goodwill to see when they come out. They eventually come out, they stand in front of the Goodwill for a while, and they take off walking. Being the predator that I was at that particular time, I kept my eyes on them, and I hurried up and reversed out of the parking spot, and I seen them go to a smoke shop. The smoke shop wasn't open at that particular time, so they were walking a little bit towards my car. Mind you, I'm at a how can I say it? When you pull out of Goodwill, there is a street where you can pull off onto the main street. So I'm right there. No cars are behind me or anything like that. So I said, hey, and they looked over at me, and I'm like, where is G at? Testing the fucking waters. And they were like, what's up? So they walked over to my car, and mind you, Satan kept people, places, and things away so he could see what I was going to do. And the individual walked over to my car, to the driver's side, and we held the conversation with each other. And I'm like, where the G at? Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, well, it's down the street, maybe 4 or 5 blocks at one of my homegirls' houses. And they mentioned that, another homegirl owns that smoke shop. And I guess they were trying to see what was up, or who knows. But if he is a scallywag that's in the Matrix, and his homegirl owns the smoke shop, I'm pretty sure they're in the Matrix and doing drugs. And I'm alleging this, but I can already see it. Anyway, he was like, you want me to get in and I can take you over there and I can run in and get it. But that was red flag number 1. I can take you there, run in and grab it and bring it back out, blah, blah, blah. I done been through that type of shit, and the last couple of times I allowed that to happen, I was pretty much clipped out of my money. So I didn't, either way it goes, I was in a situation where I had a little bit of time to make a split decision whether I wanted to relapse or whether I want to remain sober. And mind you, Satan kept them cars, people, and places and things like that away as he continued working my mind. And the scallywag was like, well, what you want to do, blah, blah, blah. So I'm debating. I'm thinking of various different scenarios, a gun to my head, and making the last split decision on my life, being in a plane that's coming down and about to crash, and having to make a split decision, because I'm about to die. So many things went through my head during that time, and I think the scallywags started to get a little frustrated, and they were, walking away. And I'm like, I'm still testing the waters. And Lord behold, I hear the voice of Regina come through. And I just heard, don't do it. Be strong. I felt the spiritual hug come from her. I imagined her face in my mind, and before I knew it, the scallywag started walking away, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And I just pulled off, and I spent time washing my car, Misty, the very car that I'm sitting in right now. And I bonded with my car, the same car that kept me safe while I was homeless here in in Arizona. And I just thank Regina and all of those invisible spirits from above, not below, that kept me safe and gave me the strength to leave out of that situation. And because of them, I am now 91 days clean from meth and 41 days clean from marijuana. If the invisible did not come through, and if the power of silence from my own self, and the fact that I was just undecisive in regard to I wasn't undecisive. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to put this scallywag in the passenger side of my car, take them a couple of blocks away, and get that damn methamphetamine and work them and whatever else. But I thought about it too. Once you get high, where are you going to go? You have a roommate. You have a nosy ass fucking neighbor upstairs. It's too damn hot to be driving around in Arizona trying to, fondle dick and whatever else the case may be. And not only that, I ride around with this book that I got from the food pantry. I ride around with this. These are my barriers of protection. These are my barriers of protection. So not only did the invisible kept me away from relapsing, but so did these particular books, these protections, these barriers that all center around God and because of the strength coming from the invisible, the power is coming from these books, and the strength and power coming from my own self, I made it through. And you guys, especially my people of addiction, it is so hard when Satan is in your head and testing you at all angles. I could have failed. I could be high right now. I could be going through the motions and being attacked by demonic spirits, just like I was the last time that I relapsed, and any other time that I relapsed. But I did it, you guys. Even though that was a hard test, because that scallywag was looking damn good. Them tattoos, and I can just imagine what that damn dick was. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to make a joke of it because I'm literally... My addicts, y'all know where I'm coming from. I'm on, like I said, 90 days in, 90 plus days in. And my mind, body, and spirit still needs that time to heal. And I want to relapse so bad. Even hearing individuals at 12-step last night talk about how they freshly relapsed. And I'm just like, damn, that could be me. You know, I could freshly relapse. But to have to go through the numbers all over again in regard to the sobriety and all of that type of stuff, and being attacked by, you know, satanic energies, and even the energies that would have came from the scallywag had we fucked around after buying the methamphetamine, all of that is the weight on my shoulders that I would have had to carry around until I sobered up once again. And I mean, I don't have time to be living a lie and hiding the fact that I relapsed, and the energies that are exuding from me because of that relapse, from my roommate, from the world, from my work, any of that. So I did it. And Regina, even though you are not here physically, I told you we are going to continue our bond and have a telepathical relationship. You telepathically came through for me, and you gave me the strength to pull away from that scallywag and get to the car wash and wash my car. And I thank you so, so much for continuing to be that voice for not only the gay community, but for the Black and brown community, and just for individuals in general who are still in the fight for their recovery. Regina, thank you so much. And thank you, God, and thank you to all the invisible from above, definitely not from below, that kept me safe through that situation. And with that being said, I'm going to end this and get home. I may go to a meeting tonight for the fellowship, and yeah. All right, you guys, remain strong, my people of addiction and or the non, whom are going through their own struggles, because Satan is going to play with your mind at all costs. It's okay, just put the scallywag in the passenger side of your car and just go a couple of blocks down. Well, nobody know what you're doing. The universe has eyes, and had I done that, the universe is already watching me. I was already being watched, above and below. Just wanted to see what choice I was going to make, and I made the right choice. And you guys need to make that right choice too. All right, y'all, be good. Happy sober living. Thank you, Regina. Thank you, Invisible from above, and blessings.